was really important for me personally. So much so that I visualized my competition on the way up, my closest competitor, to where it was almost like a movie in my mind. Ultimately, that agent is going to understand who is the originator that truly does care for them and their business, and ultimately take out that competitor.
Be open to conversations, to be open to collaborating and talking with people that are within your community, because I think that if you're closed off to that and you're constantly focused on that person across the table is just my competitor, you can miss out on opportunities.
Matt Weaver, the #1 mortgage originator in the United States for most loans closed in 2023 and #1 in the state of Florida from 2020 to present, has spent over 27 years mastering the purchase market, earning more than 16 #1 titles across his career. Max Fisch, 2024's #1 originator in the United States under 30 and #2 in the state of Florida, achieved those titles within just 5 years of entering the mortgage industry, compressing decades of growth into a few extraordinary years. Collectively, they've helped more than 40,000 families purchase their first home. Now partners and looking to improve the industry on a national scale, Matt and Max share their winning formula, team structure, and systems with originators who want to scale from elite to extraordinary levels.
So Matt, you know that I'm a big sports fan.
Yes.
I played football, coached football, et cetera, et cetera. When I played football, I want to share something with you. When I played football, my best attribute, I was never the most athletic. I was never, I wasn't going to outrun people. It wasn't about that or outjump them. I watched film consistently and I was just obsessed with it. Understanding the opponents, what, their tells, what they did. When it was a run, they did this. When it was a pass, they did this. The coverage, this is what they like to do on third down. The list goes on and on and on. That made me a good player and it made me a good coach. So when I came into the business world, into the mortgage industry, I carried that same mindset into what I was doing. I watched film on my opponents. Now, you'll hear plenty of people say, don't worry about what the opposition is doing. Just worry about what you're doing. That might work for some people in some organizations. But in my belief system, I needed to understand, especially being a young originator in the industry, where it was dominated by people that have been doing it for a long time, that had relationships. I needed to understand and visualize who my opponents were personally and professionally, what they were doing, why real estate agents liked working with them, and why clients enjoyed working with them. And I needed to know the ins and outs of their business. What was their strong suit? Where were they weak? What could I attack? How could I approach certain situations? Which agents are working with who? So I looked at it as I was watching film on my competition. And what that did is that allowed me to, when I was in a conversation with a real estate agent, that allowed me to have a high level conversation with them, understand I want to say this very clear, understand their pain points without having to ask them, because I knew that who the person they were working with and what they were strong at and what they were weak at. Okay. And so that's how I approached my business, and it helped me scale to an extraordinary level because I was very cognizant of who my competition was and constantly visualizing the competitor. Because again, in my belief system, we're not in this single sport where it's, golf is a single player sport. There's no team. It's just you're going out there as good as you can do. Let the scoreboard speak for itself. We are competing every single day on a daily basis with the people within our community. How can we be better? How can we understand how to the things to pinpoint in conversations? And that has directly correlated to our partnership here today, because we were competitors, but there was always one competitor that aligned with my belief system. First time we sat down and spoke, you mentioned that you just understood where my mind was. You understood me on a deeper level. And I knew that because of how you were doing things and what you were doing for the community. And I always had a high level of respect, which has resulted in this partnership today. But I just think, and I'm curious to know your thoughts too, I just think that for up and coming originators or established originators, if you're not paying attention to what the industry calls for around you and what real estate agents are feeling from other people that they're working with, I think that that's a huge missed opportunity.
It's interesting and it's amazing the parallel between sports and business. In fact, we use sports so often, so metaphorically, all the time here within the team structure, as you know. So I can appreciate that background. Visualizing the competitor, I think, is extraordinarily important for an originator. It was really important for me personally. Um, so much so that I visualized my competition on the way up, my closest competitor, to where it was almost like a movie in my mind. I just wrote this basically movie that emulated Rocky Part 4, and my competitor was Drago, and I was Rocky, and I was against all odds. They were in the best gym. They were shot with steroids, and for me, I had to work much harder because I wasn't with a well-branded company. I didn't have all the tools and resources. I just had my own mind and my own value proposition. So, um, over the journey of my winning, this competitor of mine that was local to me, I just kept visualizing the fact of that last fight in Rocky and knocking him out and winning, which I did that over and over again. So visualizing the competition really worked for me, and I think is critically important. Now, I don't go um, too far into all competition. I was very single and focused with the number one person that I wanted to knock out. Um, there's a meme out there. I was probably 10 years ago when it came out. Okay, which is of course the swimmer. Remind me his name again. Um, Michael Phelps.
Phillips, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte. And they were swimming. Of course, they were racing. And Phelps is looking straight ahead, and Lochte is looking over at Phelps. And it says, winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners. And it's something that I always keep here because I could tend to go really, really far in that world. But I kept that meme always the forefront of my mind to not go too deep and to create rather than living in that competitive space. So there is a little bit of a balance there that I used for myself, but I think visualizing the competitor, visualizing the competition is important. Now that said, okay, I studied film my whole life as well. In other words, you could say a neighborhood, and I would tell you who the real estate agent was and is that services that neighborhood. You could tell me, you could say an agent and who they work with, or you could ask me who they work with in terms of originator. I'm going to know that answer too. That is also a form of studying film. It's understanding the landscape of your market. Okay. But what we want to do, in my opinion, is we always want to understand that there's always going to be competition. We can't control that. But what we can control is we can control our activities and what it is that we're doing. And the way that I've found to take out competition is to create value differently, is to think differently. Because usually the competition is just status quo. They're just doing the loan process. And in my opinion, doing the loan process doesn't mean anything. As you know, here within our team structure, we're always thinking about how we can give the agent another tool to help them sell a little bit more real estate. Okay.
Yeah.
And staying to that over a period of time and allowing that to compound, ultimately that agent is going to understand who is the originator that truly does care for them and their business, and ultimately take out that competitor, allowing that movie that you wrote in your mind come to fruition. So it's an interesting parallel as to how you share your former life with football, how you brought that here into the origination world, and how it worked. I mean, I was well aware of you, okay, especially the last 2 years. You were significant competition. It got to a point where interestingly enough, and I hope everyone hears this, okay, where I said to myself, why don't I just connect with him? Why don't I just talk with him? See what we got. You never know. There's nothing to lose. And I never did that with another originator. And of course, we met, and the rest, of course, is not history, is present day and what we plan on doing in the future. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I think when you talk about what's cool and exciting about it is when you talk about competitors, they're typically competitors, especially in this space, because they're at a different company or they're working with somebody that you want to work with. But that doesn't mean that they're opposed to doing things the way that you do them. It's just about, and we've talked about this so much. It's about that idea of leaving ego at the door and allowing yourself to be open to conversations, to be open to collaborating and talking with people that are within your community. Because I think that if you're closed off to that and you're constantly focused on that person across the table is just my competitor, then I think that you can miss out on opportunities. Because if we didn't connect, then we wouldn't be here.
Right.
And we would be serving the agents that we're serving the community. So I want to encourage originators that, you know, if you're in a community and you're being challenged by an individual or somebody, you might be your belief systems might align more than you think they are, or they do. And what we're doing here on our team for Originate for Life is we're trying to align with the industry as a whole. We're trying to say we understand you, we understand the pain that you're going through, and we're welcoming you into, hey, here's what we're doing, and here's how you can be a part of it. And so I think it's important because for most of the people listening to this, they would be considered our competitors.
Yes.
But it doesn't need to be that way. If your belief systems align, you want to serve the real estate agent community in the same capacity, then there's a way for you to collaborate with other great professionals and top people in this business, to take that further and to do that, which I think is a cool concept and cool opportunity.
No question about it. And, you talk about Originate for Life. I mean, Originate for Life is adding, okay, what would be our competitors to the unit and structure.
Exactly.
And that's what's happening now every day. And it's actually really exciting because we're all making ourselves better along the way. And so, to your point, whether our unit would be for someone or not, if they were thinking about doing that themselves, reach out to that competitor. You never know where that could go. But at the same time, it's always good to have that healthy level of competition here and wanting to take them out.
Absolutely.
For me, I've always been a highly competitive person. I'm a Scorpio. I don't know if there's a connection there, but they say they're pretty competitive people. And I love that. I love the fact of being competitive and wanting to, of course, win and win at a high level. But like I said, if we can just take a little bit of that energy and also put it towards creating, I don't think originators create enough. I think what they do is they just take a process that's bestowed onto them. They take a value proposition that maybe a company gives them or a loan product, and then that's what they extend as value. I don't think they do enough creating on their own to show the customer they're serving value. And that there single-handedly will eliminate your competition.
So in general, it's healthy to focus on competition, but we don't want to be obsessed with competition. We want to focus on our business, create, think, take actionable steps to be able to focus on the customers we serve and grow our individual business. But it's healthy to understand your marketplace and to definitely understand your competitors within your market, in my opinion.
No question about it. Well said, Max. Thank you for today.
Thanks, Matt.